The renowned American singer and actress Diana Ross is worth a staggering $250 million. Diana Ross, who began her career as a member of the popular group The Supremes in the 1960s, went on to have a very successful solo career. She is the only performer in history to have had #1 hits as a solo performer, duet partner, and trio member. Diana has sold over 100 million albums worldwide in her many vocal incarnations. As a founding member of the Supremes, one of Motown Records' most popular acts in the 1960s, Diana Ross's illustrious career got underway. With hits like Stop, In the Name of Love, and Baby Love, Ross and the Supremes helped shape a generation's musical tastes and cleared the path for upcoming Black American musicians. Diana Ross started a solo career in 1970, and it was immediately successful. Hits from her self-titled debut album, such as Ain't No Mountain High Enough, helped her climb the charts with subsequent successful albums in the 1970s and 1980s. Her taste in music grew to include pop, disco, R&B, and soul. In addition to her success in music, Diana Ross gained recognition for her performance in the 1972 movie Lady Sings the Blues, for which she was nominated for a Best Actress Academy Award. Her career as an actress continued, with roles in movies like Mahogany and The Wiz advancing her career. Ross has had a huge impact on the music business. She became a symbol of empowerment and victory due to her remarkable success as a Black female artist during a period of racial tension in America. Diana Ross's career is still being honored with multiple honors, such as the Presidential Medal of Freedom and a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. She has been touring and even headlining big festivals in recent years, so her music is sure to be heard by new audiences. Diana Ross has experienced ups and downs in her personal life and career, but her strength of character and distinctive voice have made her one of the most respected and significant artists in American music history. Early years and the start of a career. Diana Ross, the second eldest child of Ernestine and Fred Ross, Sr., was born in Detroit, Michigan, on March 26, 1944. She graduated in January 1962 from Cass Technical High School, located in downtown Detroit. Her initial goal was to become a fashion designer, so she attended classes there on topics like millinery, clothing design, pattern making, and tailoring. Ross joined the Primettes, the male vocal group, the Prime's sister group, when she was 15 years old. The Primettes were invited to an audition for Motown Records following their victory in a talent competition held in Windsor, Ontario. William "Smokey" Robinson, Ross's former neighbor, agreed to let Ross and his band The Miracles hire Marv Tarplin as their guitarist in exchange for the Primettes bringing them to Motown. The Primettes impressed Motown executives, but they felt that they were too young. Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown, then instructed them to return after they completed their high school education. Undeterred, the Primettes frequently made an appearance at Motown's Hitsville headquarters to lend a hand on recordings, providing everything from background vocals to hand claps. In January 1961, Gordy eventually signed the group, stipulating only that they change their name. After Barbara Martin left the group a year later, the remaining 3 members of the group, now known as the Supremes, were Ross, Florence Ballard, and Mary Wilson. The Apex. The Motown single, When the Love Light Starts Shining Through His Eyes, marked the Supremes' breakthrough success, 1963. On the Billboard Hot 100 pop chart, it peaked at number 23. Gordy appointed Ross as the group's lead vocalist at the close of 1963. Following their first one hit, Where Did Our Love Go, 1964, the Supremes experienced a period of unimaginable success. From August 1964 to May 1967, they scored 10 one-hit singles, making them Motown's most successful vocal act of the 1960s. In 1967, Ballard's struggles with alcoholism and other personal issues led to her dismissal from the group by Gordy. The group was renamed by him as Diana Ross and the Supremes. He could now charge more for performances thanks to his new moniker. Although they were still a well-liked and successful act at the time, he thought about having Ross leave the group, but ultimately chose to keep them together. She did, however, start pursuing more and more solo endeavors outside of the group, such as going solo on TV specials like The Dinah Shore Show. In 1970, Ross left the group, and on January 14 of that year, she made her final appearance in Las Vegas Ross's self-titled solo debut album in May 1970. The albums Everything is Everything, 1970, and Surrender, 1971, came out shortly after. She starred in her first solo television special, Diana, towards the end of 1971. Ross started talks to leave the Motown label at the end of 1980. After 20 years with the label, she was given a $250,000 severance payment. After that, Ross signed the most expensive recording contract in history at the time, a $20 million, 7-year agreement with RCA Records. Why Do Fools Fall in Love, 1981. Her debut album with RCA was a huge hit, selling over 1 million copies. In her career as a solo recording artist, Ross has put out 25 studio albums. If we count live albums and soundtrack albums, in addition to her studio albums, she has put out over 30 records. In addition, she has over 90 singles to her credit. Of those, 17 have peaked at No. 1 on the Billboard Hot 40, 12 at No. 10 on the list, and 12 at No. 10. Ross was nominated for a Grammy Award in November 2022 for Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album for her most recent album, Thank You. To commemorate her biggest hits, she set out on the Music Legacy Tour's U.S. leg in June 2023. In October 2023, she has a performance scheduled at London's Royal Albert Hall. Acting career. Ross has dabbled in acting in addition to her music career. Her performance in the 1972 movie Ladies Sing the Blues earned her a nomination for an Academy Award and a Golden Globe. She also acted in television movies Out of Darkness, 1994, and Double Platinum, 1999, as well as other feature films like Mahogany, 1975, and The Wiz, 1978. Personal life. Ross has 5 children and 7 grandchildren from her 2 marriages. In 1965, she started dating Berry Gordy, the CEO of Motown, and the 2 of them had a daughter named Rhonda Suzanne Silberstein. Nevertheless, Ross married music executive Robert Ellis Silberstein in 1971, 2 months into her pregnancy, so Gordy was not involved in Rhonda's upbringing. Even though Silberstein was aware of Rhonda's biological father, he nevertheless raised her as his own. Ross and Silberstein went on to have 2 daughters, Chudney Lane and Tracy Joy. She relocated to New York City following the 1977 divorce of Ross and Silberstein. Ross later dated Gene Simmons, the guitarist and singer for Kiss, from 1980 to 1983. She married Norwegian shipping tycoon Arne Næss Jr. in 1986 after they first met. Ness's 3 children were given her as a stepmother, and the 2 of them had 2 sons, Ross Arne and Evan Olav Ross. 2014 would see Evan with singer Ashlee Simpson, several years later. Thus, Ashlee Simpson is the daughter-in-law of Diana Ross. Evan is the stepfather of Ashlee's child from her previous marriage to musician Pete Wentz, and the 2 of them have a daughter together. Ross and Næss divorced in 2000 following rumors that Næss had fathered a second child with a woman in Norway. Tragically, Næss died in a South African mountain climbing accident in 2004. Property. Diana has lived in a huge mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut, for a long time. At one point in 2007, she put the 5-acre home up for $39.5 million in the market. After the real estate market crashed, she successfully lobbied for a refund of property taxes, which in hindsight were not reflective of the true value, since she was unable to find a buyer. In actuality, it is 2 parcels. The waterfront portion is valued at $10 million, while the other is valued at about $9 million.